This is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of EHeroes. Today's eHero is Brian Chase. He is a personal injury attorney out of California, and I think one of the most interesting attorneys that you're going to get the experience of listening to. So welcome, Brian.
Well, thank you. No, it's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I really appreciate it, and I hope I don't let anybody down with those nice words about me.
Well, I don't think we can let anybody down. Now, you have this awesome practice in California, and I think you're in LA, right? Or Newport Beach.
We're in Newport Beach.
And, one of the biggest things I think inspired me to want to interview you is the science behind, these cars today, these autonomous cars, the Teslas and the whoever else manufactures them, they're injuring people. And, you've been very vocal about that.
Yeah.
Where's this, I know that a lot of these states are, allowing these cars out there without drivers, but why?
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer. I don't know the answer. What motivated me to get into the auto defect line of work goes back to the Ford Pinto days. And so I've always had an interest in it. And cars have gotten a lot safer over the years. And now all of a sudden, and they still have plenty of problems on the road, but now we're seeing these electric cars and the Teslas and autonomous driving vehicles. And, I hate to sound like Barney Rubble, or Fred Flintstone, and you don't want to, otherwise we would have never landed on the moon. So, it might be good stuff. Mm-hmm. And I always qualify when I'm critical of it, but we're not ready yet. It's not ready for prime time. We've got cars driving on the road that are getting in crashes. And it boggles my mind that they're being tested on the road around you, me, and our families and friends and neighbors, not on a test track where you can kill a dummy, and it'll crash into a wall. So I don't know how it's being permitted, to be honest with you. And I can see some exposure for a lot of liability for governmental entities or cities or whoever's permitting that.
Yeah, well, my first car was a Ford Pinto, and it was a 1976 Ford Pinto. Never had any problems with it. Never backed into anything. Never exploded.
Yeah, good, because you never got rear-ended.
Right, but I always kidded people that if they wanted to see the turbo boost in my Pinto, all I had to do was back up, and I don't think anybody wanted to take me up on that offer. So, but we've come a long way in vehicle safety since that Ford Pinto. Yet now, we got these cars that are just, I don't know, they're, like you said, we're not ready, but they're still trying to push it forward. And these states are letting them.
Well, I have a conspiracy theory thought on it, if you want to hear that. And it may not be, and I say that sort of tongue in cheek, because I see, forgetting just Tesla, I see GM spending, I want to say billions of dollars, and I could be wrong on that, but a lot of money on venturing into the autonomous vehicles, and I think other manufacturers as well. Now, they know it's not ready for prime time. They know they're going to get sued for a handful of crashes and people getting killed. I'm confident that's been factored into the analysis. What I'm also confident of, relatively confident of is these vehicles, they're not going to rear end cars. They will stop a lot of accidents. I mean, to give them credit, they will prevent a lot of accidents. I think there may have been a cost-benefit analysis, whether, evilly or not evilly, on, we're going to save more lives than we harm. Now, that would try to make them seem like good people. They're going to save more lives than they harm. If I want to go conspiratorial on it, they're going to kill some people, but it's going to cost them millions of dollars a year less in litigation. If I'm going to ask why is this going on right now, I would say it's a cost-benefit analysis. And we can put a spin on it, whether it's a moral or immoral cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, and I saw the whole, years ago when the minivan started coming to the market, there was a Toyota minivan that was kind of wedge-shaped. Mm-hmm. That was in so many accidents. And, I think that was the driving force that my dad said, I'm not going to get one of those. I'm going to get an Astro.
Yep.
And, but here we are in a stage in society where you said, it's a moral dilemma. The manufacturers are putting out these cars that, they know that maybe they're not the safest thing, or the design isn't the safest, but they're going to make millions of dollars selling these cars. and maybe they're just going to shell out 10%, 20% to the injuries, and to them it's acceptable.
Yeah. No, I mean, in litigation nowadays, a lot of times you don't see those documents, but sometimes I do. Most of them I can't talk about. But going back to the Ford Pintos story, because that's a public document, and there was the Ernie Grush memo, and they did an analysis on what's it going to cost to fix the gas tank in the Pinto, and they came up with a rubber bladder, and it was like $4 or $5 a car, and that came out to X millions. And then they said, well, what is it going to cost in litigation? So they called people like you and I units, and they allocated $200,000 per unit. And it turned out it was cheaper to pay off, kill and injure people at $200 a unit than fix the cars. And, that stuff still goes on. So, again, if I want to get conspiratorial, I'm going to say they've made a cost benefit analysis on profit over people. If I'm them, I'm going to say, no, some people are going to get hurt, but we're going to save more, and we're great guys.
Yeah. Now, is defending against vehicle manufacturers, is that one of your prime businesses, or is that something that you fell into?
Yeah, no, I went to law school wanting to do it. I went to law school specifically to be a personal injury attorney. Most don't. You can't get a job out of law school at a big law firm, and so you'll start your own PI practice or something. But I went to law school wanting to do what I do. And in particular, I wanted to do auto products cases. I think sort of stemming from the Ford Pinto stuff kind of planted a seed in my mind. And it is probably 70% of my practice all over the United States. But we do all kinds of personal injury, and we do class actions and a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, I see some of your posts, and you're flying to Texas, you're flying here, you're flying there, and but you're based at a Newport Beach. So, and I know a lot of lawyers, they have their home base, say New York, and they only practice in New York, but you're practicing, it seems like everywhere. Yeah,
most attorneys do just practice either in the town or in the few towns or counties and the geographic area they practice in. I've always been the guy that wants to go for the brass ring and, never grab it. It's always out of reach. And so, for whatever reasons, I've just wanted to have a national practice. It's more exciting for me personally. I get to help more people. And so, it's a good fit for me.
Well, I get that because, here I am in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I'm in a small town, most known for the Amish. The movie Witness was filmed here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But, most of my clients are all over United States, some of them in Australia and UK and Germany. And so, here I am, a global entity in a small town. And to me, that's the greatest entrepreneurial adventure that you can have, to be able to serve more people than just your own hometown.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very exciting. When I was a, younger guy in law school, you've got a couple of your heroes, and I looked at my heroes who were probably my age, the age I am now back then. I thought they were old men. But, they had national practices, and I saw their passion. Everybody's got passion right when you get out of law school. I saw these guys that have been doing it for 20 or 30 years and still had the ton of passion like a first-year attorney. And, I just gravitated towards them and sort of modeled what they did in many ways. And then, put our own finishing touches on it over the years. But it's just, but I aspired to be one of them. Still do.
Now, before you were an attorney, though, you had mentioned that you were an actor. How has that helped you be a better attorney?
Yeah, it actually helped me tremendously. And I do like to talk to young lawyers about this. And there are improv classes for attorneys and things of that nature. But what I have really gleaned from that, even though I didn't become an actor to become an attorney, is it makes you really appreciate theater and drama. Because when you put on a trial, you're not acting. And I don't want to ever have anybody think that we're faking it or acting, but you are putting on a drama for a jury. And just like in a movie, they try to hook you in the first 2 to 3 minutes. And then, then hopefully you have a good plot, and then they have to have a good zinger at the end to finish strong. And trials are the same way. I want my first witness to have the jury on the edge of their seat going, oh my gosh, this is going to be really exciting. You don't want them falling asleep because trials are boring for jurors. So one of the things I learned from acting was just the way you produce a movie. try to produce your, your trial the same way. Hook them early, hook them again in the middle, and hook them at the end is to keep them awake. Put the boring stuff as filler in between.
But how do you do that when a trial extends longer than TV time?
Yeah.
Because, on TV, it takes 20 minutes to win a case, but in most cases where you're dealing with, manufacturers of autos or, these companies that have billions of dollars, these trials can last for years.
Yeah. I mean, well, the actual, my trials are usually done in 2 to 4 weeks, which is still a long time. And, and it's boring for the poor jurors. And I'm very sympathetic to that. I know many of them don't want to be there, and you got to keep them entertained. And you can't, as you say, it's great on a 20-minute movie or a 20-minute sitcom to go, wow, that was awesome. You take 4 weeks of that, there is a lot of boring time. But I try to make it as exciting as possible, start off with some witnesses that I think I can have a few Perry Mason moments with if I get lucky and the jurors go, wow, that's exciting. I try to use a lot of graphics, visuals. Since I do the auto defect cases more often than not in trial, I'm crashing cars, I'm dropping cars on their roof, literally. And it's kind of interesting to jurors. And so I just try to when I'm putting together a trial, I want to make sure that I have at least some of that throughout the day. I don't want to go a full day of just boring stuff. But, I'm sure there's some jurors that I didn't hit the mark with.
You get into a lot of vehicle forensics. I know that, my cousin who used to own a towing company, he did it for 40 years, retired, but he actually created a bay in his shop that's strictly for forensics, for visiting attorneys to come in and see what's going on with the vehicle.
Yeah.
You use a lot of that?
Oh, yeah, constantly. I've got, at any given time, 30, 40, 50 cars stored at a facility. And the experts are out there, and the defense too, because they have to be invited to the party, depending on what you're doing, if it's going to be destructive. And we go through, vehicles with a fine-tooth comb, depending on whatever issue it is we're looking for. And a lot of times it could be a little blood. It's like CSI sometimes, not always, sometimes where we'll find a hair somewhere and we'll go, that's where the injury occurred. We'll find a little speck of blood. And so and sometimes they're using a fluorescent lamp to find those things in the vehicle. So it's really exciting. It's, every case is different. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I love about the job. I learn on every case something new.
What's the biggest concern right now, though, with vehicles? Is it seatbelts? Is it airbags? Is it, brakes?
I have the same concerns in general that I had my entire career. And I'll qualify that. Cars are safer, no doubt about it. But every car is built to the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards and have to pass those. Those were all promulgated, for the most part, 90+% of them in the 60s and 70s. So cars are still passing standards that are, watered down from the 1970s. Now, fortunately, the government has made cars have electronic stability control, so you're going to have less rollovers. That's a good thing. But if you roll over, you still have a weak roof. Mm-hmm. And so the roof is going to crush. You might have less rollovers, but if you do, you still have a weak roof. So cars are safer because of the technology, but some of the fundamentals are no different than the last 40 years. Roofs are still weak. Seatbelt buckles have the same problems. There's still a lot of the same old defects.
You are, I guess, the senior partner right now, right, of Bisnar Chase. So when did you start Bisnar? I mean,
okay, so Bisnar, so Bisnar started the firm back in 1978. Sole practitioner, he by himself, renting space from some lawyers. I hooked up with Bisnar in college, and that would have been in 1987. I wasn't a lawyer, but I worked for him in 87, and he had 5 employees. When I got out of law school, we were still at about 5 employees, and he and I, and now we've got 40. And it just, we became a partner in 1998, and we just, took a lot of chances, a lot of risks, and did a lot of good work, and, have about 40 folks now.
So in the last 20 years, though, you've really taken that 5 employee and expanded it, probably taken on a lot of great cases to expand it to 40 people.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And, and it's like, I'm a lawyer, but I call sort of what I do. I'm not sort of. I call what I do. It's entrepreneurial law.
Mhm.
If we don't win a case, we don't get paid. Um, these auto defect cases I try will have 750,000 to $1 million tied up in one. Now, 20 years ago, I didn't have $1 million to put into a case, but we gradually, slowly but surely took on bigger and bigger cases, took a lot of risk, wanting to help people, and a lot of sleepless nights, and fortunately it all worked out really well. And so now we can afford those risks, which allows me to help more people, and it's good.
But you do far more than just employ 40 people. I mean, and talking about helping people, I've seen some of your posts where you're helping the local community. You're doing backpacks, you're doing, drives, you're doing all kinds of stuff. So it extends beyond those 40 people.
Yeah, no, it does, and I forget this very famous quote, but it's to whom much is given, much is expected, and I forget who said that, so I'm showing my ignorance right now. But I am, very blessed, and I know that I take none of this for granted at all. And so, soon as Bisnar Chase got in a position to be able to give back to the community, and we've been doing it for a long time. Initially, smaller types of things, and now larger types of things, and it's just, it feels good personally to be able to do that. And it's great for the morale of the folks I work with. I was going to say the staff, but I don't like using that word, and I don't like the word employee. I feel like I have 40 partners, and that's really how we operate around here. I can take out the trash and answer the telephone. So we're all co-equals, but it makes everybody feel good. We'll go out once a month to a church and feed homeless people. And it really gives everybody a good feeling to give back, because, when you give back, it feels good. So on one hand, it's selfish, it feels good. But yeah, we do a lot of that.
Because when you're traveling, they're behind the scenes, they're doing the social media, they're doing the website, they're doing everything to keep, the business running. And, that, yeah, I mean, like you said, they're more,
Yeah.
they're more than just employees. They're more than just staff. They are partners, because they are looking after you. They're looking after everything as the collective.
Oh, I could not do. Is the sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. No, I could not do what I do without people being solid rock stars in their positions, and that's why we're very nice to my co-partners too. We send last year we hit our goals. I sent everybody in the law firm and their spouse or significant other to Maui for a week. Not all at the same time. People can go whenever they want, and some people are gone right now. And I do that, to give back to them too, because I feel like I am living the dream, and I would not live the dream without the team I have.
Right.
Christy, who does our SEO work and here our in-house stuff is, teamwork helps the dream work, and it's true.
And before we got on, started recording, you had showed me some of your displays in the background, which includes some of the Rams helmets and Shaquille O'Neal's shoe. And, that's your passion that you extend outside of your business. And if it wasn't for your business supporting you, you would not be able to have, what you have. And it's great to see, because you are, this is what I try to exemplify to all the people out there who are listening to this podcast, is that your business is supposed to support your personal life. Your personal life is not supposed to support your business. So you have to have an equal time to be able to play and work.
Oh no, absolutely. And I go back to when I say I was living the dream. I love what I do, and I wake up on fire, but I love traveling. I love going, on vacations. I've taken my kids. We're going on a dad kid trip, here in a few weeks, for a week. And then Annie and I are going to go to Europe for 2.5 weeks coming up. And as you say, you've got to have balance in life. And I know you do as well, because we're friends on Facebook, and I see you doing all kinds of great trips nationally and internationally with your family, as well as all the work stuff you do. And, I think to be a complete package, you've got to have that balance. So you've definitely got to work and have passion for it. Otherwise, forget it. But then don't be so consumed by it you can't get away from it, and go enjoy your family and your friends, and have some hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 2 weeks in Germany over Christmas, and that was just phenomenal. And next month I'm taking the kids down to pay homage to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, no, I was very jealous of your German trip. I saw the posts.
So you do, you have to have balance. And I know that there's a lot of you guys listening that might say, well, my business isn't at that stage. My business, it can't support, those trips. And, I've been there, I've done that. So you got to put in the time, but you got to have that goal that says, hey, these are the things that I'm going to do once I reach that goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to have things that motivate you, inspire you. And, obviously family and health, you got to take care of those things, but, your business as well. And, nothing wrong with making money and being successful.
Right. So, you're in Newport, and I know it's a very, I've been to California a couple times, and when the last time I took my son out with me, it took us 2 hours. No, it took us 4 hours to drive 20 minutes or 20 miles. And I was like, what is wrong with this traffic?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how you do it. I mean, to me, to do that every single day, I would lose my mind.
Yeah, well, fortunately, I don't. If I had to do it every day, I don't think I wouldn't do it. And there are people that might live in one county and have to go to another county, and they have to do that every day.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't do that. I know all the people that work with me here at the office, they're not driving. A couple are, but, most of them live, close by, and it's probably anywhere from 15 minutes to 40-minute drive, depending on the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So when people come to California and see that traffic, I don't know what the percentage is, but all of those people aren't doing that every day. Sometimes, for example, I've got to be in court in downtown LA. So if you're driving by, you'd see me and go, oh, that poor sap, how does he do this every day? And, well, I don't, I do that 5 times a year. But that's the price we do pay to live out here. There's definitely some traffic.
Now, are most of your cases in LA, or are they outside of,
they're everywhere. If I was going to say most of them, I would probably say, in Southern California, Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange County, LA, San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got cases, currently in Texas, in Louisiana, Florida, New York, Colorado. I've got a handful all over the country.
Wow.
That's why you see me on a plane all the time.
How do you juggle all that? I mean, right there is a time management nightmare.
Yeah, well, it's something I would love to take credit for, and I just fell into it. But it's a great tip, and I share it with folks, and they're like, man, and they feel like they can't do it, but they should. When John and I made a conscious decision to grow our practice, I didn't want to turn away business. Never wanted to say I'd be too busy. We never had a problem hiring an attorney, a paralegal, whatever it was. And a lot of folks are afraid to do that because they think, well, that's $50,000 a year. I'm going to make a year, or whatever the number is. And it's like, no, they're going to make you triple that, even though you have to pay them that. But the management piece, and again, we kind of fell into it, is all the lawyers in the office are assigned a caseload. Okay, so I don't have day-to-day involvement in the cases, which is why I can travel and be in court and meet with other attorneys and do what I do. But what I do is I meet with every lawyer in the office every week on every single case. And we call it a litigation review or a lit review. So I'll sit down with an associate, had one yesterday, have one this afternoon, and we'll go through their cases. And it's like, okay, last week we said we had to get this done. Did we accomplish that? How did that work out? What do you want to do next week? And so I have my hands on every single file weekly. And that allows me, all the other hours in the week to be traveling around and being in court and doing the things that I need to do to keep the practice running and things of that nature.
Over the last 20 years that you've been involved, how have you seen technology help you? Has it helped you better? Has it helped you worse? I mean, has it enabled you to hire more people or not have as many people?
Yeah, no, we still, it's allowed us to grow and we have more people. I mean, if we didn't have the technology, I can't even imagine what that would look like. I don't know if I would have 20 employees or 80 to do the job we have now. So I really would have to process the answer on that. But I can say the technology has been amazing. Obviously, it's a concern in our personal lives because it takes us away. But setting that aside, I could be on an airplane and emailing with attorneys or emailing with my office or emailing with experts. And I could be working while I'm flying. I could be in Europe and on my phone talking to people or emailing or texting. So, due to the technology, it allows us to run a practice anywhere. Like you say, you're sitting in your office at home right now, and you're running an international business. And so the technology permits us to do that. So it is just an absolute blessing with regard to business.
Yeah.
And then the issue is us juggling that in our personal life.
The only drawback right now is this whole GDPR regulatory stuff out of EU that's really, affecting how certain things are displayed on websites and emails and everything else. And, and I know that some of the lawyers that are only based in the United States are even having problems with this because of the wording.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know how you guys deal with privacy, but all I know is that, certain things you can't post on social media, and it has nothing to do with GDPR. It has to do with, is this, present to the case or not to the case, or does this affect the case in any way? And I think that would be, a nightmare in itself, trying to figure out, okay, can I say this? Can I not say this? And some of the wordings that you have to do as an attorney.
Right. Yeah. I've been dealing with the media so long, I'm kind of used to it. So then when I talk to the marketing folks, we know what we can say and not say, but obviously, or maybe it's not obvious, typically less is more. You can talk about general facts, but you don't want to get into any minutia. And another thing, and I tell clients this when they're being deposed, and it's true with my practice, if I'm talking to the press, cases take on a life of their own. What is relevant and great today might be fatal to your case tomorrow. And what is fatal to your case today might be great for your case tomorrow. So you never want to get into the weeds on anything because you don't know if it's going to help you or hurt you. Mm-hmm. So, usually when we're doing any social media stuff, it's just big picture, general items to educate the public or whatever the point is of the post.
But, for you, it's not always educating. It's also entertaining. And you do a great job. I think every Wednesday you're always posting something where lucky someone can win some gift cards. And I think that's amazing because, I've not seen this concept done by anyone else but your firm. And, the comments and the shares and the engagement is off the charts.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for it, but it wasn't my idea, and it started happening, more or less behind my back. So yeah, it's been something very successful, but it's just something that our marketing team has come up with. And if they're like me, all my good closing arguments I stole from some other lawyer. We all stand on each other's shoulders. So I don't know if they stole it from somebody, but everybody else is welcome to steal it from us if they want.
Well, in marketing, when you take something from someone to use it in your own business, it's flattery.
Yeah.
Although we accuse people of stealing, and
yeah.
It's more like borrowing for our own intention.
Yeah, and I use that word tongue in cheek. I truly am. I believe there's enough business out there for everybody. There's enough of everything out there for everybody. I tell lawyers when I'm at seminars, if they want, $150,000 test I had run in another case, I'm going to say, here, have it. I give back all I can. So anybody that wants to borrow anything from us, I literally view it as we all stand on each other's shoulders to make each other better, to be the best we can be and provide the best customer service we can.
You also, do a lot of golfing. And
my handicap wouldn't reflect that.
Yeah, you don't want to know my handicap. I'm not even allowed on certain golf courses anymore because I don't carry all the clubs that is required in your golf bag. I went golfing with my brother and I took one club and he goes, "You're nuts." He says, "You need all these clubs." I said, "No, I don't." I said, "I'm going to prove it." Yeah, I used one wood the whole way through. And now my score was awful, but I proved a point that you don't need all those clubs. And but I was told never to come back on that golf course again.
You have a new nickname now, Rob. I'm going to start calling you Tin Cup.
Yeah.
You're a Tin Cup from now on.
But there are so many stories out there, and I think you're doing a great job in trying to communicate those stories. In fact, I think you're coming out with another book, or you just launched another book, right? Yeah,
it's coming out. It's in the works right now, going through the editing process. Yeah, and that's something it's a real passion of mine. I've always loved writing. Mm-hmm. I was on the school newspaper in college. I was on law review in law school. Writing is something I have a real passion for, and I don't get to do it much anymore because I'm so busy at work, I have people do all the legal writing for me, which on one hand, I'm glad I'm not doing it, but it's fun and creative. But the book part I get to do, it's really exciting stuff. Yeah.
Well, how do the listeners get to know you? Where can they go to find out more information about you?
Okay, probably the best thing is our website, which is bestattorney.com. If you go on the website, it's got, bios on all the people, maybe not everybody, but all the attorneys, management in the law firm, video things from clients, videos from me. And I think it's a really good way to get to know who we are. Yeah.
And from there, they can go to your social media and learn what you're doing. And if they want to get involved, they know where you are. They'll come out there and help you in the community.
That's great. No, that's awesome. Absolutely.
So,
take all the help we can get.
For all the listeners, this is why Brian is an e-hero. I mean, he's got that entrepreneurial spirit. He's really grown a tremendous, awesome business that, is all over, and he's defending your rights. And to me, that exemplifies what an e-hero is all about. So thank you, Brian, for being here. And for everybody listening, please go to Brian's site, bestattorney.com, and learn about everything that he can do.
Well, Rob, thank you. And I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of yours. You are a very successful entrepreneur in your own right. And it was a pleasure and an honor to be on your podcast today. So thank you.
Thank you. And one of these days, we're going to have lunch together.
It's going to happen. When you're in my state, I'm not, but it will happen.
So thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode.